All right. Hello. Can you hear me, folks? Can you hear me? Hello. Let's wait. Perfect. All right. Hope you are doing well. I'm gonna do some streams normally a bit more regularly. I will have to travel in March, but I want to do streams more regularly, at least once a week, and I want to release some extra stuff. We got a fantastic interview podcast recorded with Marko Djurdjevic, the founder of Six More Vodka, coming soon. And way more coming. So yeah, let's go. So today we are talking about how to check if something is in demand for your portfolio project. It has been requested. Let me remove my webcam. Nobody cares about my face. It has been requested heavily last time. So let's talk about that. Let's go. So a quick disclaimer before we start. All of that, even though I'm trying to put as much logic and common sense in it, it's not the absolute truth. I don't have a crystal ball. Do your own research. And we're going to talk about subjects that are a bit tricky today because some people, to find the next portfolio things, they might be tempted to try to find insider information. That's not what I'm talking about. I will not cover that subject at all today. So just a quick disclaimer. If you know someone who works on a studio, do not try to extract information for them. Do not break NDAs. And even more importantly, do not let studio think that some of their NDAs got broken. They're going to freak out. They're not going to hire you. So that's just a quick disclaimer. It's not going to be covered at all in the presentation, but it's just to say it before. Today's presentation is about making educated guesses and developing enough culture about games or movies to sense what is going to be trendy in the next few years and what is going to be absolutely gone in a few years. Right now, we can notice, for example, there's a lot of games about Japan or China, photorealistic, Souls-like, all looking the same. And you don't need a crystal ball to realize that the market would be saturated with that shit very soon. There's probably even 10 more games like that coming pretty soon in 2026. And the market starts to have difficulty keeping up. So that's an example. And we're going to see a lot of examples like that. So why making that presentation? The TLDR is to have a good portfolio project. As I've always said, you pick 5 to 7 companies that are accessible and that do roughly what you do, that you like it. You make an average of what they do without doing fan art, and voila. It sounds good, but there are more subtleties to that. And I want to talk about the subtleties today. We have 2 problems today in the concept art market, which is the law of supply and demand and what I call an asymmetry of information. I know it sounds like a complex sales or marketing or financial terms. I'm going to stop using like complex terms after, but it's just for lack of a better vocabulary. The problem that we see today, let's diagnose the problem as always, is that a lot of people are following trends. A lot of people look at ArtStation, look at the front page, and they tell themselves, oh, I'm going to do the same. The problem is that making a portfolio takes 6 months to a year. And in 6 months to a year, the trend is different. Everyone is fed up with what was trending a year ago. Nobody cares anymore. And their portfolio is completely unusable and worthless. And they just wasted 6 to 12 months. And that's the whole goal of that presentation, is to get you to avoid wasting time on a portfolio that will be dead on arrival. Okay, I know it sounds a bit violent. But for example, to anyone making a post-apocalyptic portfolio today, like Last of Us, your portfolio is fucking dead. I'm sorry. You make something like Samurais today, good freaking luck. The concept art God has mercy on you, because nobody wants that anymore. I know a few games are going to get released in that subject. It's probably not going to die as much as Last of Us 2 inspired stuff, but still, everyone does that. So if we pick the law of supply and demand, it's disadvantageous. And what I mean by asymmetry of information is that we don't have a crystal ball about an unannounced project, hence the importance of making educated guesses and developing a culture about games and movies. I cannot repeat enough that we have to consume extensively the media that we are wishing to create. And it's not just playing the latest blockbuster, it's about developing a culture about games. So let's go. This video is for everyone who is chasing trends and who thinks that making a God of War fan art or Black Myth Wukong or Last of Us or Horizon Zero Dawn fan art is going to get them hired. I'm going to explain why it's most likely not going to be the case. Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger. And what to do instead to make sure your portfolio is viable long-term and can resist the stand of time, okay? So let's start with what I advise to the mentees, or I should say we now that we are a team. It's that graph. But first of all, we need to ask ourselves, okay, when someone is making a portfolio, is it for themselves, what they like, regardless of what the market wants? Or is it solely for the market, disregarding what they like? And the good answer is something in the middle, because if you do it solely for yourself, okay, let's have a look at this. You do what you like, okay, but it's not what studio want. It's not going to work. It's going to be irrelevant. It's going to not be what the industry needs. There will be no demand for that, so it will be rejected. You might like doing it, but if you don't second guess yourself and ask yourself, is it compatible with studios, it's going to be difficult. If you do it solely for studio, but you fucking hate that, you're going to burn it. You're going to burn out, okay? So that's why I make this kind of thing. It's a reprisal of the ikigai. You know, that Japanese thing, like what you like, what you are good at, what you can be paid for, and what feels like there is an impact when you do it. And the things bang in the middle are exactly what you're calling in life, let's say. I adapted it to finding the right studio. So in an ideal world, your portfolio subject should be something that you like to do and that you like to nerd about, okay? If it's not the case, it's going to feel like a chore and you are not going to like it long-term, and it's going to be contagious and people are going to feel that. It needs to be something that you are already good at. Otherwise, if you have to learn everything from scratch, it's going to take a lot of time to learn it. It needs to be what your seniority and visa can access in terms of studios. So this is case by case, but otherwise it's going to be out of reach. And this needs to be in need with studios. Otherwise, what you do, even if it's good, what you're good at and could be accessed with your seniority is going to be irrelevant. There's not going to be any demand for that. And you're going to struggle. Okay? So that's the premise where I'm starting from. And with that, let's talk about the law of supply and demand. There's that video from Fang, episode 112, called Targeting Your Portfolio. And that screenshot is what I've been saying a lot recently during portfolio reviews. It's about people going for the easy stuff and not realizing that they put themselves in massive danger by doing the easy stuff. And something that is interesting is that a lot of people say that they like to do something, but when you dig, they like to do it just because it's easy, not because they truly like it. That's also a problem. So I'm not going to release everything that is easy versus hard, but basically anything that can be Googleable, that involves low design, like just pure nature, generic castle that we see in real life, etc. Not very interesting. dark stuff, silhouette stuff, horror stuff, super grounded stuff, post-apocalyptic stuff. All of that falls into the easy category. The hard category is more like bright stuff, colorful things, complex architecture, complex technology, and creating things out of nowhere by mixing those references. But go watch that video. It's going to be easier. It's almost an hour and a half just about that. But it's a good intro to the law of supply and demand, because when something is in high supply, aka easy to do, so everyone does it. So all the trends, all the Last of Us 2 fan art, all those things, it's low value because we have a saturation on the market of that. It's easy to find someone. And when it's easy to find someone, it's going to be a race to the bottom price-wise. So for you, you're going to be paid less, if at all. You're going to have to fight with more competition, and more likely it's going to make your work totally invisible, because you're just drowning in a slew of other artists doing exactly the same shit as you. And there's no way you can stand out, have a voice, or be even noticed. And even if you are hired, your job is at risk, because they can easily replace you with someone that is doing the same thing but for cheaper. So, and it's going to spark what I call the oh shit, another one effect. So they see your performance like, oh shit, another one effect. You have followed that trendy tutorial that got released 2 months ago. We know exactly which one it is. And I have seen it a billion times already. So it cannot defeat the point of being a concept artist, where you are there to propose original ideas. So you're going to notice I have a little anti-social and anti-conformist approach to things. People who know me, they know a bit about that, with my slightly spicy takes on LinkedIn and such. We're going to talk about that, and it's going to be interesting, I think. So ask yourself, what do you do? Is it the easy stuff that is accessible to, quote unquote, everyone? Or is it the hard stuff that requires a lot of effort? That's why we are pushing the mentees towards hard stuff, even though they pester a bit sometimes, because it's hard, it takes time. It's because they stand out. There's no interest in creating another clone of clone of clone. You have to stand out in today's market. There's way more people coming. In the podcast with Marco, we're going to talk about that. The barrier to entry, which is technique, seemingly has been lowered. It's not true in my opinion. But today, anyone with 2 weeks on Blender, a quick sell account, and an HDRI can render a photorealistic piece of shit of a picture. And it makes technique accessible, and it in the head of a lot of people, it removed the hardest barrier to entry, because a few years ago, everyone had to fucking draw when there was no 3D and such. I know that there are still exceptions, like, okay, 15 years ago, Craig Mullins was using photos. Yeah, but it was not mainstream. There was no photobash.org. There were no photobash packs on ArtStation. You had to shoot your own photos or else pay Shutterstock. And it was complex, okay? It was not a widespread method. So ask yourself about that. The job is very competitive, so if you do only surface level stuff, you will not get hired. And it's not just about today. Even 10 years ago, it was the case. It's just that 10 years ago, everyone knew that you had to draw, and there was no shortcut. So only the craziest or most passionate kids were pursuing that job. On the other hand, if something is low supply and hard to do, it is high value, it is hard to replace. You will be facing less competition because there will be less crazy kids or passionate people willing to suffer through that to do it. And because it's in demand and you are harder to replace, you regain a bit of agency when it comes to negotiating stuff. Okay? So that's why we push for very hard subject, for example, amongst the mentees. And that's why I'm bashing like the Last of Us 2 fan art and things like that so much. Nothing against Naughty Dog, nothing against OPB. I actually love you guys. But it's just that this work is being misinterpreted and people just copy the surface level stuff and it ends up in a slew of garbage. Like, how many times have we seen on ArtStation from a famous tutorial, two generic military guys enter an abandoned post-apocalyptic place with rifles in their hand, and they are in the entrance door, and there's nothing in it. I don't know how many dozens, if not hundreds, of pictures like that I have seen, and you don't even need to click to know it's from the same tutorial. Or like post-apocalyptic building with pebbles, rocks, old tires, wrecked cars, and a few floating banners on it. Again, famous tutorial. That's not going to cut it because the barrier to access those things has been removed. Okay? So instead of that, I want to propose what I call an anti-social and anti-conformist approach to standing out. That punchline is not from me, it's from a guy called Tugan Baranovsky, Arnaud Labossière in French. He's a marketer. He's probably the darkest yet most efficient marketer in France, probably top 10 best marketer in the world, in my opinion. And I like that take, so credit's due. You need to understand you have three types of profile when it comes to making a portfolio. You have what are called the barbarians. They are disruptive. So they make a portfolio that fits no category. It's new, it's personal, it's fresh, it's disruptive. By that, I mean it goes actively against trends. And it can work if tamed a bit with that thing. But if it's just disruption for the sake of being disruptive, the problem is that you don't fit anything. So you don't fit what studio needs, you don't fit the market need. And it ends up being very risky. So a barbarian approach, it's high risk, high reward, and you need a lot of skills and a lot of finesse to be original enough, but not too much overall. So that's a very small amount of people on the market who take risk. And those are, quote unquote, what I would call the true artists. And it's not obviously a compliment what I say. It's just people who want creativity above all else, sometimes at the disregard of market needs. Okay? Then you have what are called in economy and finances the aristocrats, which are gambling on what is called the current inertia of the world. So basically, they are gambling that nothing will change. I think this is the safest category to be into. However, there is a massive misconception about that because the current inertia in the world is not the latest trend from 2 years ago. It's, in my opinion, the old stuff, the Feng Shui stuff, the call-out sheet, the first principle things. Adapted to today's standards, of course. But it's like, okay, let's have a look. Let's do a bit of pattern recognition. What is new that is going to just be a fad and be out from the market in a few years versus what has always been there since the beginning? It's more like that, more than nothing will change. Actually, the industry is changing a lot at the moment. So it's very difficult to expect that nothing will change in the current years. But it's just about clinging to the old reliable first principles that have always proven to be working. So helping the production, showcasing design, drastic iteration, gameplay, entertainment, fun, all those things. That's based on that thesis that I built the Art Nest. And it was heavily inspired by Fang, of course, and we are not even hiding it. But we've new patches to fit today's need, because Fang's video, except for the few he made after 2023, unfortunately the videos are starting to be old, and the first principle behind are still holding 100% true, even more than before. It's just that the demo and the technical execution for a lot of things, while being very good, because it's Fang, it's not accessible to the common mortal today, and the techniques are different. So aristocrat, it's interesting, but you need to, that nothing will change part. You need to zoom out It's not about the last 3 years, okay? It's not about just the industry is crashing and nothing will change about that. No, it's about what has always worked from the beginning. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. That's an aristocrat thought right there. It's like empirical evidence that is reliable and that stands the test of time and that resists any new technology, AI, layer of corporate grid, like the only stuff that you can rely on, that nothing can take away from you. This is that approach. And the last type of profile are called the crickets. Again, I did not choose the names. Okay, it's in economy, it's in finance. Normally it's for investor and people jumping on the trend, like AI trend. Barbarians, they are those who created the trend in some way, who took the risk when it was under the radar. Aristocrats are those kind of gambling against that, thinking now it's just a trend, it's a bubble, it's not gonna change. And the crickets, they are the people who follow the trends, but always too late. And they are kind of hyperventilating. And by that, I mean, it's, oh my God, what do I do? What is the latest good thing? Oh, okay, it's keyframe about God of War. Okay, I'm going to do that. No, rest in fucking peace. Rest in fucking peace, because you cannot build anything stable if you arrive too late. And I've been always saying it, when something is trendy, it's too late. Okay? So I don't know what is the next trend going to be, but it's not going to work, because if you make your portfolio according to the current circumstances, by the time it's made, it's going to be too late and it's going to be worthless. So let's say we get back in time, God of War Ragnarok gets out, massive art drop, amazing picture from character, studio, mood, etc. Okay. You do fucking Viking portfolio, 6 months later, nobody cares. That's the trend for another game. So be very careful about trends, okay? I say a lot of okay, I'm going to sound like Mr. McKee from South Park. So if you arrive too late, it's bad. If you are too disruptive and too alien, it's risky. And if you gamble poorly on what will never change, it's risky too. So my idea is to concile a bit the three of them. Cricket, you are aware about what's trendy at the moment. Aristocrat, you are aware about the old reliables. Barbarian, you actively reject conventions and trends. And with the three together, you have something kind of cool. The question is to ask ourselves, I think, is there an error in conventional wisdom, quote unquote wisdom? That's been my thesis for the entirety of the Art Nest, okay? That thing is my thesis for everything I do. It's about pattern recognition. And I've said it the other day during the presentation for juniors and for the preparatory module release. I'm kind of blown away to see that our entire job as artists is to recognize patterns. You see a color, you associate it with a feeling. You see a shape, you associate it with a meaning, etc. And eventually, when you have to make a picture, you pick amongst that massive bank of elements and as if it was an ingredient, and you make your cooking recipe to tell exactly the same thing. So you associate patterns amongst each other. And yet, artists, as soon as that pattern recognition skills goes beyond just making pictures, it's gone. It's gone. You just have to read LinkedIn for 5 minutes to see how terminally online a lot of artists are. Even in the YouTube comments, for fuck's sake. You see so many terminally online stuff. People don't realize that they paint themselves as absolute idiots, and it's going to damage their career. And regarding that pattern recognition in the industry, it's like, okay, new tutorial comes out, everyone and their mom does it. Everyone is having the same pictures on ArtStation. Any of them, do they get the desired result thanks to that, which is a job? If yes, cool, we might be onto something. If no, why even bothering following that trend? I really want to encourage everyone watching that video and part of our community to just take a step back and look objectively at what most artists in the industry do and ask themselves, okay, everyone is doing that thing. Is it granting any of them results? And it's not about finding one exception. It's about finding a pattern, a reliable result. When everyone does X, does everyone get the wide result that everyone wants? If that's the case, good. Let's do the same. If none of them or only a marginal amount get result, that's probably not a good idea. And that's why I'm asking, is there an error in conventional wisdom? For the questions in the chat, keep it for the end, please. I'm going to answer them. I think there's going to be quite a short presentation, so we will have a bit of time. So, yeah, question, what is conventional wisdom, what everyone's do. And when you do that, always remove the statistical outliers from the equation. Typically, the people who started the trend, remove them. They are the rock stars, they are outliers. So they should not be taken for the norm. You remove the statistical outliers, you pick the vast majority, like the 90% of people under them. Do any of them get the result you want with that action? If yes, do it. If no, don't do it. And you can easily reverse engineer that by telling yourself, okay, everyone will get a job. Again, let's remove the rock stars. Let's just pick the normal artists that are way too busy to chase clout on social media. What is in common amongst their portfolios? Is it making sense so far, folks? Take a little sip of tea right now before continuing. Okay, perfect. So the anti-social and anti-conformist approach to standing out, and it's not about being a punk and tagging walls with anarchy signs, okay? It's a bit more rational. Again, all of that is the faces of what we built at the Art Nest. This is why I say this is my humble opinion, but I think all of that is just rooted in pure common sense, or what I think is common sense and logic. And by anti-social, I mean, we are not making art for the approval of peers, because this is not your target audience. We are not looking for fame and like on ArtStation, because this is not our target audience. It doesn't mean job. It doesn't mean being an asshole, just not being desperate for the approval of peers. Let me explain that. Oops, let me do it right here. So you have three different types of audience. You have the public. You have, oh shit. You have other artists. And then you have studios. Okay, this is a bit like a spectrum. And the problem is that most people, when you chase trends, you're not making it for the public. You're not doing it for studios. What you are aiming at when you are chasing trends and looking for the approval of peers is that your target audience is other artists. And that's a massive problem because other artists, they are not those giving you jobs. Some of them can recommend you, okay? But most of them, they just like to consume your stuff and they move on. So they are not the ones that are going to grant you money. The public, Marko Djordjevic is going to talk more about that. There are a few artists who are able to do that and appeal to the public. I'm thinking about people like Evan Amundsen, Lop, Ross Tran, Sakimi Chan, V, etc. All the people with massive fan base, Patreons, books, etc. So we have Marko Djordjevic, etc. Those people, even Darko Markovic with Inside 44, those are people that are building something for an audience right there. And that audience can make you leave. Studios can make you leave. This is about a portfolio that fits production. This is the whole content and the whole reason of that channel. But art for the artists, the problem is that it's okay. We all want recognition. We all like being respected by other artists. But likes won't pay your bills. So that's why I like that approach of making work where you are going to disregard the approval of peers. You're not going to provoke them, you're not going to be mean to them, but this is not your audience. Anti-conformist. It's about refusing trends. So when something is trendy, it's already too late. Law of supply and demand. It's about refusing consensus. Again, questioning conventional wisdom. And instead focusing on what works, not what looks like it works, or what everyone that do not have results says that it works. And more importantly, it's about knowing where you are in what is called the adoption phase, another very pedantic marketing term. This is it. We're going to talk about it in just a second, okay? You know what? Let's talk about it right now. So the adoption phase, this is something when a new technology arrives. And right now with AI, we are exactly in that thing. So when it's under the radar, it's super risky. Nobody knows about that. It's like buying Bitcoin when it was 2010, for example. That's this kind of things. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody had a crystal ball. It was a massive gamble. And if it works, good. If it doesn't work, rip. But when it works very well. Then you have the early adopters. So when you start gaining traction, it's like investing in AI in 22, 23, when just before the arrival of ChatGPT. Right there, the early and late majority, it's when everyone talks about it. So this will be the equivalent of buying AI stock late 23. We are there. Everyone talks about AI. Everyone and their mom talks about AI. And honestly, right now, at least regarding the AI example, I think we are there. We are in the laggards part. Transpose to a portfolio, it's when there is a trend. So let's say Last of Us 2 becomes trendy. We have the super early people who are doing that way before the Last of Us 2 were kind of under the radar. And most likely they are the ones who are going to work actually on Last of Us 2. Early adopters, before it becomes mainstream, you still have a chance. And if you have a good feeling about that, it's kind of cool. But then when it appears, when The Last of Us 2 is being teased and you start seeing fan art, when there is the art drop and everyone is doing that, don't even bother. That's all I'm saying with this kind of curve. So you want to be somewhere right here in the early adopter. Too niche, too early, and it's very risky. Right there, it's kind of good. It's about developing that feeling for what is going to stay, what is going to die. So we talked about the three targets, the public, the peers, and studios. And to quote the podcast done with Marko Djordjevic, doing art to impress other artists is like excessive bodybuilding, eventually just impressing other guys. I like that that punchline. Very Slavic, very direct. I like it. And I think it summarizes the problem. There was that video from Tyler Edlin, was summarizing the problem about ArtStation. We talked about that a lot of time. What we see on ArtStation, it's most likely the stuff that is not representative of production. And what is in production is most likely never seen on ArtStation, or rarely. Okay? I like that book called The Purple Cow by Seth Godin, which can be summarized very easily by when everyone does one thing, do the opposite. Again, that's one of the faces of the artist. Everyone is smooth talking, I'm being blunt. Even though it attracts a few people that are a bit pissed, that's fine. Everyone does keyframe. The mentees does call out sheet in production. It makes them remarkable. Want to prove? Okay. Want to prove that they're becoming remarkable? 2.5 thousand likes. 2.2 thousand. 1.3 thousand in a week. 1.1 thousand. 2.8 thousand. 800. No ArtStation account, that might be a bit brutal. That might be a bit brutal because unfortunately we rely on ArtStation. But when everyone does one thing, do the opposite, it's about trends. And the problem if you don't have an ArtStation account is that you might make finding you harder. So again, there is conventional wisdom there. Everyone having an ArtStation, is it still granting result and visibility? Yes. So there's a benefit to that. Then the content on ArtStation, that's different, of course. You have this kind of thing, like you have some people who are like the barbarians. They're like, I do whatever I want. Okay. You have those little crickets right there. You have to follow the ArtStation meta and buy the latest trendy tutorial. Then you have the aristocrats who are like, okay, let's sprinkle a bit of the purple cow mindset. And then there's supply and demand. Algorithm on ArtStation, you showed a really well done work, but what about some medium artists? I'm absolutely sorry to say it, but if your work is medium, you're gonna get medium to bad results overall. So let's pick stuff that has not been that trendy, but still granted result, you know. Let's pick, I think Alex did not get that many likes. I might be wrong, it might have changed. Oh, whatever, 800, okay. Jean. 163, that's still more than most people, okay? That's still like top one, maybe not top 1%, but top 5% of like. But it's not as spectacular. That's fine. Because again, ArtStation is mostly for peers. You can apply with that. We're currently in the process of applying, and his second chapter will be very good. Just the first chapter right there. But still, that's very good. That's very good. Most artists, they get like 3 likes, you know. So, yeah. You want to stand out positively. You want to fit market demands, and you want to avoid fighting the competition. This is how you circumvent the seemingly saturated market, okay? So the first thing is to be reasonable. If your work is too generic, it's not gonna work. If it's too alien, it's not gonna work either. You want to balance both. Exactly, Peter. Art director hesitant when opening random website link. ArtStation is verified. Everyone knows about it. And the problem with website is that most artists, they make the shittiest website ever by making it so complex. There are 17 clicks to access the work. There are menus. It's poorly optimized. You want an example of a good portfolio on a website? This is a good example right there. For Maria. One page. All the work in full page. No need for any click. All you have to do is scroll and then you have a single email. That's kind of good. You want to remove friction as much as possible. I've said it several times. And please do not use a Wix website. And for anyone sending a Google Drive link, stop. Because most studios will not even click on a Google Drive link for security reasons. So they will not even consume your work. So the reason you want to avoid generic stuff is because of kitbash and Google. You want your work to be kitbash and Google proof. And I will state something controversial. I think kitbash assets and Google is a bigger competitor and a bigger threat for concept artists than AI. I think that thing right there is more dangerous for the concept art job than any AI if you do generic shit. Let me explain why. That game, I think it's a Wu Chang Fallen Feather, another clone of clone of clone. You can clearly see, let me open it up in Photoshop. You can clearly see what has been kitbashed and what has been quote unquote designed. Okay. So main character might have been designed, but all the rest, I'm pretty sure that that barrel is from Quixel. Those statues, I'm pretty sure they are from Quixel. That card, I'm sure, is from Quixel. Probably those plants, probably the rocks. Probably those crates. That thing. And if it's not from kitbash, it is just a fucking photo. You know, has been turned into 3D. In my opinion, the only thing that has been designed by hand is that thing. And the reason is the texture looks like shit. All the texture there look like shit. The game looks unfinished. Well, all the rest is mega detailed. Why is that rock so fucking detailed right there, while that thing is not? I don't really know. So to me, and why are those things so detailed right there? Well, there's no reason to detail those, while again, that thing is not. So to me, let's ask ourselves for a second where it would require a concept artist there. Not on this, not on this, not on this, not on this. Maybe on that. Maybe on this. Maybe on this. And that's pretty much it. Do you need a concept artist to make all of the environment? If everything is kitbashed, one might argue that no, actually, because you will have the gray box, and then it will be immediately replaced by kitbashed asset. And this is, to me, the danger of making generic shit that is easy to do. It's because all the easy to do stuff is already available for free in Quixel. And if you, the concept artist, can access that, the 3D team can also access it, and they don't need you. So that's why, in my opinion, and I'm not there to dismiss the dangers of AI. Okay, we talked about that several times. I think after 3-4 years, I don't even remember how many years, we all know about the problems tied to AI. Let's not ramble about that again. But nobody talks about that problem. To me, the biggest replacement of concept artists is fucking Google or Quicksell. Because nobody needs anyone anymore regarding concept art to make that shit if it already exists. It's available like a stock asset. It's going to make the game look like shit. I actually believe that this game looks like absolute garbage. But there's no need for a concept artist on most of those pieces. And this is the danger of making easy stuff and making generic boring shit with generic boring kitbash asset. And this is why I'm saying that those things are more dangerous than AI. Do you think AA games are gonna make clones of games in the near future? It's already the case. Okay, let's talk about that. Those are 9 different games. Those are 9 different games that got released in the span of a few years. We are already there in the clones of shit. Do you understand why making fucking samurais and Asian generic shit in a portfolio doesn't work? Yeah, I thought it was the same too. But those are 9 different games. There is Sekiro, arguably a good one, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotai. I don't know about this one. Phantom Blade Zero, Wu Chang, and one of them is Samsara, yet to be released, and another one I don't even remember the name. Yeah, Ghost of something, exactly. And look at the, again, the trend maker. Look at the numbers. Those are the Steam chart from yesterday, by the way. Look at the numbers. Ghost of Tsushima. I know it got released later on PC, so it's not a fair comparison. It was a very, very good game also. Assassin's Creed Shadow on Steam. I know it got released on Ubisoft platform garbage, but still, very bad for a Ubisoft game. Wu Chang. Direct to Steam. 900 players right now. Nobody gives a shit about that thing. Jukele, I wonder how tired generic to play game the player will get. They are already. I mean, those are the numbers right there. I'm going to show you more later. You're going to realize something because right now I'm bashing on the realistic games. I'm going to rip apart the stylized people also. This is I told you it will be a spicy presentation today, folks. I told you. So let's talk about the stuff to avoid in a portfolio. Finding the right subject might be difficult, but it's easy to find what to avoid. So Japan, Samurai, and Asia, we talked about that. Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yotai, Neo 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there is probably one of them is Neo right there. This one is probably, I don't even know. I don't give a shit. One of them is Neo, Wukong, Wu Chang. Even Wukong and Wu Chang on the Western market, the name is very similar. I don't think it's a good move. Ballad of Antara, who heard about that shit? Nobody. Where Winds Meet, that's a bit of an outlier, it's an MMO. Phantom Blade Zero, it's wish listed, but it's going to be a medium-sized hit. It's going to be like Lord of the Fallen size. AC Shadows, rest in peace. Samsara, Echoes of Eden, nobody knows about that shit. And as we saw, in all of them, maybe let's slightly remove Sekiro. All the rest, where is the need for a concept artist on any of those? Googleable, Googleable, Googleable. Everything is Googleable right there. There's nothing that shows real design right there. Oh my God, it's a temple covered with vines. Do you really need a concept artist for that? Or at least a long term? It takes half a day to make a shit like that. Are you not scared people on LinkedIn will beat your ass for this? I'm already beaten the shit off by pissed off people on LinkedIn. I don't care. I don't care because I do not say that to be mean. I just think the industry lacks fucking common sense right now, and that we are blaming it on the wrong targets, or rather that we are not. We are blaming it on external targets, which they have a part of legitimacy in the blame. But I want artists to look at themselves in a fucking mirror also. So I'm fine with that. And people who are pissed off by that, honestly, I don't really want to work with them. They are not the audience for that. I'm appealing to people with common sense who start noticing those patterns and want to navigate with that. And I'm getting some shit in the comments. Even the latest video, some people like literally did some defamation. I saw one comment with 3 erroneous statements. And I was like, okay, yeah, good for you. Nice try. But that's fine. That's fine. I'm not doing that to be a fucking asshole, okay? I know I'm blunt. That's one thing. That's on me. But all of that is not to be mean. It's just to bring a sprinkle of common sense in that industry that lost its mind. Of course, Cyprian, this is a real trend. Yeah. I mean, I'm not making this up. I'm not even making this up. I made it yesterday. I just typed Soulsborne Asian game 2025 and 2026. It is a trend that is dying already? Yes, because nobody cares anymore. There's too much. You play 1 or 2 samurai games in the year, you don't have the budget for 9. And why playing Samsara or Echoes of Yi, those kind of things that look, or Wuchang Fallen Feather, when you can play fucking Sekiro or Ghost of Tsushima or Wukong? Why bothering with Wukong at home? Why even bothering? Because those games are going to be $50 to $70. And we are comparing this $70 or those $70 or those $70 with that $70 piece of shit. Why are Japanese culture and games set in Japan so popular that they end up having so many ripoff? Because Japan has always been trending, and we saw an influx. You want me to do the curve? Okay, no problem. Let me do it. Give me a second. I don't have it right now. Can I draw? Whatever. So the IQ bell curve. So precursors. Sekiro. Then let me grab the bell curve right there. Reveal in Finder. Where is it? Okay. So right there. I mean, Japan has never been very risky. We blend. We have tons of weebs in the video game industry, so that's fine. Collecting katanas and learning ninjutsu, signs from Naruto, everyone did that. So that's okay. Black Myth. Right there. Ghost of Tsushima. Right here. I think it came a bit earlier. So something like this. Boom. Now we have let's assume this is Neo. I'm not sure this is Neo. I think it is. Let's assume it is Neo. And then we have all the shit. Assassin's Creed. Mostly too late. Phantom Blade. coming in September, I think. And all those things, they are going to go here. Wuchang Fallen Shit, there. And Ghost of Yotai. Oh, shit. Whatever. And Ghost of Yotai. Nope. Here too. That's how I will place it. Sekiro, very good. Nioh 1, 2, 3, very good. Nioh 3 is quite good. Ghost of Tsushima 1, very good game. Nothing to complain about. Black Myth Wukong, not played it yet, but based off the review, people seem to like it a lot. Nioh is great. Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's not the piece of shit that people want it to be, but it's not a financial success for Ubisoft. Ghost of Yotai, certainly not the same success. Wuchang, mild, barely break-even type of game. Phantom Blade, I think it's going to be okay because it's edgy as fuck and people like edgy stuff. But it's going to be mid in terms of game, and those things, I think, dead on arrival. Fucking dead on arrival. I'm not criticizing the artist, okay? Angry Raccoon. I'm not criticizing the artist at all. I respect deeply anyone who worked on that game. Because the devs, right there, they are doing their job. It's just the decision to publish that game, okay? I'm going to do the same with those stylized things. And I have nothing against the artists who worked on that. They are actually very talented. Don't get me wrong. The problem is the marketing part and the target audience analysis. We're going to talk about that a bit later. Let's get back to the presentation. So Japan, Samurai, and Asia overall. Let's avoid that. Cyberpunk. We got Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner, and recently Cyberpunk 2077 and Phantom Pain. And now there is no market demand besides Cyberpunk 2077 and the next one that is yet to come. That's it. So there's no market demand. Vikings. We got the Viking series, God of War, quote-unquote Game of Thrones that is a bit middle-aged, Nordic-inspired. Hellblade, the second one almost killed the studio, by the way. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and there is no market demand since. You want to see trends that came, everyone was doing that, and then nobody is doing it anymore. That's some examples right there. Military, modern shooters, and civil war settings. We are getting tons of those every year. The problem with that is not that much that it's not in demand, it's that it's generic and easy type of design. The Division, Last of Us, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, tons of Battle Royale, things like this. It's generic. I think in Call of Duty they start using AI for the skins, etc. Honestly, you want to do military shooter, aim at stuff like Apex Legends. It's still modern and military, but you have heavy design on that, or Titanfall, things like that. Yeah, the latest Call of Duty has a ton of AI, I know. Post-apocalyptic, for the love of God, please stop with post-apocalyptic. We got Fallout, we got Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us, Ark Raiders, a ton of clones of The Last of Us, like the day before and scams like that. Just The Last of Us alone was enough to saturate the niche for years. I need to show you something. Give me a second. Let me stop sharing the screen for a second. I need to find it in a WhatsApp discussion. Here we go. I have it. Here we go. So this is a little SEO research we did recently regarding ArtStation. We did this regarding ArtStation. We checked the SEO words, etc. And it's funny to notice that all the spikes from ArtStation, all the spikes from ArtStation and the curve for concept art is basically the same, happens during art drops. So one of them was like Horizon Forbidden West, one of them was God of War Ragnarok, one of them was The Last of Us 2, etc. So it's funny to see the correlation. Yeah, we did a lot of research. Yeah, we are doing some SEO at the moment. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, it was just to show you that little curve overall. And The Last of Us started a massive trend on ArtStation. That's basically one thing that boosted ArtStation a lot. It was the art drop of Last of Us 2. So post-apocalyptic, my gripe with that is that it's this generic shitty assets covered in grass and dirt and pretending it's design. There's no effort in this. The genius of The Last of Us, the genius of Naughty Dog and OPB working on The Last of Us is composition. The way they guide you. I showed it last time. The way they guide the player, the way they create they create a fake open environment that gets you exactly what they want to do. That's the genius, and that's what nobody is able to replicate because they are not designing it for a game. For most people, post-apocalyptic is pick some grounded stuff, destroy it, sprinkle dirt and grass on it, and boom. Everything is Googleable. There's no demand for it on the market. I don't know a single post-apocalyptic game about to come. I know they mentioned the development of a new Fallout games, I think. And Fallout, I think, is an exception because it's so heavy in terms of design with this kind of retro-futuristic stuff. So very bad on the supply and demand ratio. Sorry, I'm going to hurt people right here. Victorian, Gothic, and Steampunk. Thank you, Bloodborne. Thank you, Bloodborne. Everyone wants to do that now. There's little to no demand for it at the moment. Victorian Gothic is easy to do because it's heavily referenced. There's not that much design to do. And it got saturated by Bloodborne. And nobody dares to do Bloodborne again. I know we got Lies of P. That's pretty much the only exception we got. We got Still Rising. That was Bloodborne in Paris, basically. But that's it. And I'm putting Steampunk at the same time because it's heavily inspired by Victorian Gothic generally. I think Steampunk is a very, very bad idea for concept art because to me it's more of a cosplay genre than a game or movie one. The only steampunk project we got that were successful are Dishonored, arguably Arcane, and Bioshock. And besides that, there's not that much steampunk stuff on the market. One could argue Still Rising and Lies of P, but it's very niche. And the problem is that the rules of steampunk are not defined. It's like, put some Victorian Gothic, everyone wears aviator goggles, sprinkle some copper and scatter some gears and screws and pipes everywhere. It's difficult to deal with, and you look at Dishonored, for example, the way they made that steampunk with the oil of whale. It took a lot of effort in world building to make it work. Yeah, Dishonored is diesel punk, whatever, the punk stuff overall, steampunk, diesel punk, whatever. You get the thing. What about something like Orientalism? Is that a bad topic trend? No, it can be good. It can be good. We're going to talk about that a bit later with subject that nobody knows. But you can make it work, and you can make pretty much anything work if you are smart about it. We're going to see that with the if you are really stubborn. Dark fantasy souls like, please. Again, it's the easy. It falls in the easy to do category. Dark, silhouetted, dirty and grimy, covered in shit. No need for references because it's going to be zombies and dark and low detail. It's low effort. No. there are not that many dark fantasy Souls-like games that work. Even Lord of the Fallen, the latest one, did not work that well. The DLC kind of saved the game. We have a lot of dark fantasy games coming. We have a Fatebringer and another one that is a clone of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. We have 2 clones of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. We have Covenant also that looks great. The creators of Dooms and Destiny. But we got too many Souls-like clones that were looking like garbage. It's hard to equal From Software on their own domain. And what is interesting with From Software, if you look at the interviews from Miyazaki, he's explaining that he never wants to make dark and horrific stuff for the sake of making dark and horrific stuff. He's always combining it with beautiful things. You look at all the bosses in Elden Ring, most of them at least, they are both creepy and beautiful at the same time. So careful about that. You can make it work. We have a lot of students who pick something fantasy, they like dark fantasy, and we are like, look at Baldur's Gate. Have some colorful stuff and have a bit of horrific stuff, but have mostly colorful and flamboyant stuff. Yeah, farming games will dominate the market for sure. Does the rule still stand if categories are attempted to be mixed, combined together? We're going to talk about that soon. Next one, generic European Middle Age stuff. It's saturated. It's low effort in terms of design. And we got a crap ton of them recently. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Manor Lords, Fable. The new Fable game is dead on arrival. Avowed, dead on arrival. Oblivion Remaster doesn't feel like Oblivion. Feels generic as fuck. Dragon's Dogma, good game. Crimson Desert, dead. Tales Edge, I'm sorry, but I think that game is dead on arrival. I wish them well. I really wish them well, but I think it's not even gonna be the art that is going to be the problem. It's rarely the art. I think the marketing surrounding it is done by someone who doesn't play video games, unfortunately. I wish that game to succeed, honestly, but I don't think it's gonna succeed. There's a high market demand for that. I think fantasy is making a massive comeback following Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate, the trailer for Divinity. Fantasy is good, in my opinion. My tip for that is to pick a culture that we see less. I want to see middle-aged Russian fantasy or Croatian fantasy. That's why the work of Jest works so well. Because it screams The Witcher, but it's not the Polish culture. It's Croatian one. It's colorful. I talked about that already. Same with French Renaissance. I don't even know when was the last game with French Renaissance. I think it was Assassin's Creed Unity. There is so much in the culture that we see a bit less. So my tip for fantasy is do not pick like your generic Attack on Titan type of buildings, please. Pick something that we see a bit less. Because Baldur's Gate 3, The Witcher 3, Skyrim, they were not generic European middle-age crap. Isn't it crazy that everyone who likes fantasy or Viking stuff, they lean towards Viking stuff like Hellblade, or boring European Middle Age stuff that you could find on Shutterstock or kitbash.org. We got a crap ton of copycats of God of War in the concept art space, but we never got copycats of Baldur's Gate or Clair Obscur. Isn't it funny? My guess is that Baldur's Gate 3 or Clair Obscur, they are hard to design. Way harder than generic middle-age fantasy shit. How comes none of those are going for the house? And don't get me wrong, Kingdom Come is a very good game. Dragon's Dogma, good game. Oblivion Remaster, I mean, Oblivion Basic is a good game. Remaster is disappointing. But Baldur's Gate, Skyrim, hard to copy. The Witcher 3, again, it's a bit like the fantasy version of The Last of Us. People copy the surface level, like people in dirt and mud and looking like shit. No, The Witcher 3 is super flamboyant and colorful when you go in the cities. Yeah, and there wasn't the time to make a copy of Clair Obscur. I mean, Clair Obscur is the game of the year, arguably, in my opinion, the game of the decade. And it's going to mark history. We have not seen a single copycat of Clair Obscur on ArtStation. Well. I need to have a tinfoil hat right there. Pattern recognition. How comes nobody does that? There's a pattern. When it's The Last of Us or when it's The Witcher, people copy the surface level because it's easy. When it's Clair Obscur or Baldur's Gate, nobody copies that because it's fucking hard. And that's exactly what Feng said. Stronger IP, less competition, difficult to copy. More value, less competition for you as a concept artist. Most concept artists, they struggle to find jobs. Okay, we have the market contracting, but they struggle to find jobs because they are here. It's a very crowded market and it's easy to copy. Next, horror. I'm sorry for the horror fans. Unless you speak Polish or Japanese, it's difficult because most of the horror games are from Poland or Japan. All the rest is clones of clones of clones. It's ultra niche. It's relatively easy to do horror stuff. A lot of photo bashing, a lot of dirt and grime. It's difficult. There's a lot of competition on that. So I have nothing against the horror niche. I'm just saying it's ultra competitive and very saturated. Next, that one game that is an outlier visually speaking. Hades, Megabonk, Undertale, Marathon, Inside, Journey. I love those games. I absolutely love those games. But the problem is that they are too niche, visually speaking, and there's no guarantee any studio will want that. That has been the tragedy for Marathon for a long time, is that visually they were looking like nothing else, and people were a bit deranged by that. It was a bit like concept art, the game. You feel like it was a game made by concept artists and for concept artists a bit. And the recent footage we saw last week from Marathon, it looks fucking phenomenal. There's a lot of hate surrounding Marathon. I think that 6 months ago, I would have said that the game is dead on arrival. Now, with what I've seen recently, I'm eager to play it on the demo. I think Marathon has the potential to make a comeback. I think it's not going to launch spectacularly, but it seems that they addressed a lot of the things that were sources of worries from the public. And I think it's going to be a slow launch, but if it delivers with what we have seen recently, with word of mouth, it can really become a big game. I really think Marathon has the potential to make a comeback. And I was saying a few months ago that I thought Bungie would die following Marathon, and the best thing they could do was to kill the project. I want to amend that. I think the game has potential. I'm not saying it's going to succeed. I don't know yet because the hate is phenomenal around the game. But visually speaking, in terms of gameplay, it looks way, way, way better than the demo. And I think the best thing they should have done is not do that demo a few months ago. So I want to change my mind about that. Marathon has potential, I think. Not saying it's going to be the game of the year. I don't know yet. But based on what I've seen, potential. Next, to get back on Orientalism, subject that nobody knows about. Super niche book, nerdy myth from a non-Western culture, etc. You want to be careful about that. I know there's a few studios that are making like God of War in India at the moment. It looks great. Or Wukong in India. Looks great. I wish them well. It's just that the Western market is not really used to that. So you have not to Westernize the subject, but you have to make sure you have connections with Western codes elsewhere. The type of game, the gameplay, the color palette, other things, and you can pick a nerdy subject. One thing though, especially for character design, I got some mentees who are like, hey, I want to pick like African tribes or Native American or things like that. Nothing against those cultures, but thinking like a designer, you want to have a huge variety of materials, if possible. And let's say you pick something a bit tribalistic, you're going to fall into this kind of Hellblade symptom where it's just bones, wood, leather, and not that many manufactured elements, so you're going to limit the complexity of design you can do. That's why I really don't like all that paganistic stuff, like all the Hellblade stuff. And every time a mentee say, hey, I'm going to make something tribal and Hellblade-like, it's like, nope. Nope, you don't pick that. That's because beside making wooden hut, there's no architecture you can do. And any dum-dum can assemble some wooden beams in 3D and make a hut out of that. Big architecture like the one you see in Baldur's Gate, that's already more complex. So I have nothing against non-Western culture subject. I actually think it's great and it's fresh. And it's a good way to come with a great idea. You look at even some kids from New Age like Samuel Amar, amazing artist, amazing guy. Oh, there's a lot of new stuff. That's great. That project that he made at school that got him hired at so many studios, inspired by Mongolian culture. That's fantastic. Love it. But there is a twist. It's not just Mongolian people. It's inspired and reminiscent of. It's not copy-paste. Or just with Croatia. This is more niche. This is niche right there. You've never seen those costumes in games. This is more niche. So it's a balancing act. And to me, it's a good thing. But be careful. Let's say you pick a myth, like an Egyptian myth of a tertiary god. Ugh. It's gonna be difficult, you know. It's gonna be a bit difficult. So that all I'm saying is just it's a balancing act, and you don't want to present something alien. Not too generic, not too alien. You have a very original subject, balance it with known and clearly established codes of archetypes, etc. That's what I would advise to you. Subject to avoid next. The latest blockbuster project of the moment is going to create an army of clones, especially if the project is easy design. So basically everything above. And as I was saying, strangely, we don't see that many Baldur's Gate 3, Doom Eternal, or Expedition 33 copycats for ArtStation. Probably because it's difficult to do. And that's why I'm getting some shit from some angry artists. Again, all I'm saying is not to be a dick. It's just to avoid people crashing against reality compared to what they were expecting. I prefer I prefer like a harsh reality check than a comforting lie. Like, if you do easy stuff, you're not gonna make it, unfortunately. 10 years ago, yes. Now, everyone can do that. And we see a lot of artists gravitate and make something trendy when it's easy to do and easy to replicate. It's a quick dopamine hit. It's the quick fix rather than the long-term gratification. I know the mindset changed, and I don't want to sound like a rambling grandpa. It's just that 15 years ago, everyone had to fucking draw. There was no 3D photo bash or very little of that. And it was okay for everyone that you will have to grind for years. It will look like shit for years. And then, only then, you will get results. So only the craziest or most passionate kids were pursuing that thing. Today, technique being seemingly accessible gives the illusion that a lot of people can skip the fundamentals and eventually get it. And no. Last one. Fan art of existing IP. Looking at you, Valorant, League of Legends, Overwatch fan. The problem is that people tend to be very binary about it. For those studios, sometimes making a bit of fan art, maybe 10% of your portfolio fan art of what they do, is actually not a bad thing. You're gonna see on YouTube tons of interviews of people who got hired at those studios who say that fan art piece got me hired. And people think, oh my God, I need to make only fan art. No. You can have one piece of fan art for those super mega established IPs, because you have to show you can fit the mold, and sometimes you have to iterate over existing characters. So that's part of the deal. But keep some original stuff to have your voice. Otherwise, you're working on someone else's creative footstep. And the problem with that, for the studio you mentioned, since you draw skins for said characters, maybe fan art is a good thing. Yes, but skins is a creative act. You have to create that new skin. And that's actually what we advise to a lot of mentees who are aiming at hero-based games. So typically League of Legends, Valorant, Overwatch, etc. Make skins. This is what makes money. Make some cosmetics. This is what you will get hired for. There's no way as a junior you're going to design the main character. There's too much money involved. I talked about that the other day. Look at Jendo from Zenless Zone, $34.5 million in a month. There's no way you give that to a junior. Question from Roger Co. For Overwatch purpose, should it be about 80% cosmetic? Then no. No. You're thinking in absolute right there. You want to have some skins. I don't know, maybe. Fuck, even if 20% of your portfolio is made of skins, that's already a crap ton of them. You still want to show you are able to design characters, but you can design NPCs, little enemies, critters, weapons, props, secondary characters, things like that, and then skins. It's about being balanced, because let's say you only do cosmetics. On some studios, you might be hired just for that. Thinking about Airborne Studio, for example. But I would still have a bit of original stuff. It's about balance and not falling into one extreme or the other. That's what I'm saying. And I want to show you the fan art of existing IP among studios. Look at that. So we have those. Can you see the pattern right there between this? This one, the layout is a bit different, but those two. And dun, 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 this, and this. Color of the year, same splash art, same modern font, same punk look, Same type of character, like those characters, we have seen them in leagues, all of them. That character right there. That's what Axel told me the other day, like that character right here. This is literally Jetlin. This is rough. This looks like Farah right there from Overwatch. Oh, another naked character with a big sword. I wonder where it comes from. Yeah, it's a pattern. It's not a fucking conspiracy theory. And what's the common point amongst those games? They all copy the Fortnite-ish Arcane style or Valorant style. Same punk-ass characters, same archetypes, same design inspiration, same hero shooter bullshit. Guess what? Dead. Dead. Fucking dead. Imagine you work for years on that project, 45 players. That's rough. You want to know why the industry is crashing? It's because of shit like that. And again, nothing against the artists. They were following orders, okay? They were following orders. They are following what investors told them. It's like, oh, everyone likes Arcane and Valorant. Let's make our own. Question, how do you differentiate failing patterns or metaphor success? This. Okay. So these are the monthly players of Valorant. So that's roughly 800,000 players a day. All-time peak. Versus this. We're going to talk about the metaphor success. This is going to be the conclusion of that video. But you want to know why the industry is in trouble? It's because of this. It's because they are following trends way too late. It's not just concept artists, it's also the industry. And I want to give an example about Deadlock. I started playing Deadlock recently. Oh my fucking gosh, I should have never done that because that shit is addictive as fuck. And before Deadlock being Deadlock, it was looking like this. It was looking like this kind of generic sci-fi Concord-like garbage. I don't remember the name. Neon something. Deadlock. Neon Prime. Here we go. This was Concord level of character right there. This was really Concord level, and a good thing that they changed the characters, I think. But yeah, it was like Concord level of design. And Valve was smart enough to make an entire reskin of the game. The gameplay didn't change. Some of the characters barely changed. But now Deadlock looks fucking phenomenal. This kind of Team Fortress having a baby with esoteric stuff. Oh my god, that's my jam right now. That's really my jam. This kind of American Gothic esoteric stuff. Yes. And playing with all the cryptids of the US. Like That adorable little guy right there. That's smart. That's really smart. You see, it's just a reskin. MOBA range, super saturated. Hero shooter, super saturated. You mix the genre, as we were talking before. Now we have something. You mix the style. Now you have something. And that's how they can stand out. Because nobody ever explored that aesthetic before. And we get back to what I was saying before with the purple cow thing. Purple cow mindset. Let's stand out. Let's have one point that is a bit alien. And then let's aim at supply and demand. People love hero shooter. People love MOBAs. Let's give them both. So alien style, very unique, known stuff. And again, super hard to copy and super hard to design. I don't think we're going to see a lot of Deadlock clones, visually speaking. I might be wrong, but Deadlock is going to destroy the market. Because the game is so fucking good. I mean, it's fucking Valve, you know. Name a single game that Valve flopped. So yeah, so if you are really stubborn, you bring a mega twist to the subject. Okay, next. It's about finding the viability of a studio. Recently, we got a lot of studios who collapsed and their future is uncertain, let's see. So one thing you want to know for your portfolio subject is, has the studio absolutely demolished the subject and niched into oblivion that they are walking encyclopedias about it or not? How do you feel about the recent Stylus Horizon Zero game? Not sure why they decided to go that direction. Maybe I'm in the minority. That game is dead on arrival. It's Concord. It's Concord 3, basically. We got Concord, Concord 2, which is Highguard, Concord 3, which is Horizon, potentially Concord 4, that could be Marathon, but I think Marathon is going to maybe not be safe, but have a chance of a saving grace. But Horizon Hunters Gathering stuff, nobody gives a shit about that. Nobody asked for that. I don't know who greenlit that shit. I'm sorry for the artists who worked on that, who are most likely going to be laid off. Again, I do not want to blame it on the artists. I want to blame it on the producers and the decision makers who validated the designs or asked artists to do those designs and validated the project. So no, that game dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. Another way to know, okay, I'm going to be very cynical. Another way to know if your game is dead or not is your game getting 50 videos by Asmongold and legendary drops? If that's the case, that's probably bad. Is your content being found by Asmongold and legendary drops? If that's the case, you're probably in deep shit. Unless they do playthroughs and they play the game. In that case, it is probably a good thing market-wise, you know? I don't know about Asmon. I don't want to enter that controversy. I know he's a spicy character. And I don't like I'm not interested at all in the actuality, politics, and things like that he is covering. I don't give a shit. But like it or hate it, Asmongold, I think, represents a massive chunk of the player base. He is the embodiment of a lot of players, especially RPGs and MMO players. And I think he's representative of a lot of the market. Not all the market, but a lot of it. Not in terms of opinions, but in terms of expectations regarding games. Okay, let's separate the opinions of the character, which are spicy and some of them highly controversial, with the gaming part, okay? So I wanted to study high distill and similar indie games in order to get hired. I'm the usual, no, but I would advise you as I was saying at the very beginning, 5 to 7 studios and make an average of what they do without doing fan art. Let me show you an example. Zane, former mentee, got hired. His project was very similar to Hades, but we implemented a bit of Wayfinder and other stuff in it to not lean solely into Hades. The final keyframe, very Hades-like. And he got hired at a project that is very Hades-like, but is not a one-trick pony Hades style. I hope it makes sense. Parepticon 7043. So you want to make sure the subject has been mastered by the studio. You look at the devs of Kingdom Come Deliverance, they know Middle Age. You look at id Software, they are making only shooter and first-person games. They know how hard surface and shooter works. You look at Lion Studio, they only do Middle Age stuff, so they know the subject. You look at Ubisoft, they are not they are jack of all trades, basically. But I think they mastered enough the historical subject with Assassin's Creed and the modern military with The Division, so that's okay. But if you see a studio suddenly change directions just to follow the trend of the month, you know it's most likely bad. So a good sign is a studio being consistent amongst their release. You look at Bungie, hate it or love it, they are butchering Destiny, they are butchering My Baby, but they know their shit when it comes to shooters. It's, in my opinion, on par with id Software, it's the best shooter feeling ever. The gun feel in Destiny is next to none. That's why I'm also hopeful with Marathon. The game feel of Marathon is going to look insane. It's already looking incredible. So yeah, it means that they see what other studios following trends do not see. And you probably want to match their encyclopedic knowledge about the subject if you want a chance to get hired there. Another way to notice the viability of a studio is the delta between ego and performance of a studio. So if their ego is bigger than the perf, it smells bad. Like it's the first quadruple A game, or then saying, oh, it's the fault of the public if the game doesn't sell. It's your fault. It's because you don't like us, or finding excuses. You know it smells very bad when something like that happens. And the worst thing is studios who know they flop, who are starting to do damage control in advance, like, oh my God, if you do not like this game, it's because you are this evil person. We saw it with Concord. We saw it with Forspoken. We saw it with Ubisoft, with Assassin's Creed Shadow. It's used as a smoke screen, and you should never blame the public. It's similar to the person who was talking about the algorithm. Do not blame it on the algorithm. The algorithm rewards good content, similar to the public rewarding good content. If you do not get like, it means that it's not appreciated by the public on that platform. So on ArtStation, you can nuance that because it's mostly peers, and you are not doing work for peers. You are doing work either for the public. You pick Evan Amundsen, Anato Finstark, people like that, Greg Rutkowski, or else you do it for studios. So the amount of like you get on ArtStation is not the most representative of your chances as an artist. You see tons of artists with thousands of likes and hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram having no jobs, and other ones that are niche or that barely exist on social media will get jobs. But studios, there's no fucking excuse. Their target audience is the public. As much as they want to pander to investors, the final decider is the public. And that's the problem we see in a lot of shows, is that they try to both pander to the investor and the public at the same time, and it ends up pleasing nobody, especially the public. The public feels betrayed. So the investors are not happy with the numbers and they feel betrayed too. That's why, for example, Claroscuro is a good case study, because they were like, we ignore the public, we ignore the investors, we just do what we fucking want. And they were a strong embodiment of the public they were targeting, which is people who want good games and emotional slaps. Rococo is a good theme. Visually speaking, it's a good thing. I'm seeing that in the comment from Cassie Faley. I said it applies to theory, it applies to artists also. And we're going to see that in the podcast with Marco from Six More Vodka. There's a lot of pedantic buzzwords in the industry, like, hey, I'm building an IP as a concept artist. It's a world building project. Come on. Your characters have no name. There's 3 pictures. It's generic as fuck. There's no story. There's no interesting rules, and studio hate these terms. Like, even the other day, I got someone who applied to the mentorship, and I'm not going to bash that person. It's fine. They are learning. But on the art session, it was like, oh, I'm building it's a world building IP project. There's like 2 pictures. It was fan arts of Last of Us. Okay, where is the world? Where are the characters with names that we are going to follow across adventures? What are the rules of that project? I don't know. So, yeah, avoid those terms. World building, it's difficult. It's not what is required from a concept artist. Building an IP, nobody cares. Unless you do it for the public. In that case, expose it to the public. If you get likes and support when selling your books and content, it means you're onto something. If the public doesn't react to that, do not blame it on the algorithm, please. And I know it's hard. I know. I have my little owl thing too. Nobody gives a shit for now. That's fine. I accept that. That's my thing. Do you think aiming at companies like Valve is kind of hard? For example, project like Deadlock. We're going to talk about that in a moment. I will end with a little game for you folks. You're going to like it, I think. It's about success momentum. That's the little game we're going to do. It's about making an educated guess about what the market will look like in 12 to 24 months. Beyond 24 months, it's hard to predict ourselves. We have one world-ending event every 3 months happening somewhere in the world, and the industry is in a weird spot at the moment. I think we are seeing a soft bounce right now. But yeah, it's 24 months, it's a lot. And you don't want to protect yourself beyond 24 months because I'm assuming you are not going to spend 2 years building a portfolio. So before we move to what I call the time trust graph, just to summarize, picking the right subject, something that has a similar subject, art direction, and gameplay to the studios you are aiming at, not a fan art. You bring a change in the design ingredient to make it your own. Example, Jess with The Witcher and Croatia. And it needs to remain something that the studio could still reasonably make in their own project. It needs to be something that you like. There's a difference between you liking it because it's easy and you liking it for real. Something that you are a mega nerd about, please. And aim at simplicity. You are not there to build an IP, not there to make a world. Think about one little set of mechanics and that's it. And more importantly, make sure the project is gamifiable. It can be gamified. We got some mentees who are picking like, okay, let's pick the myth of Sisyphus. What's the gameplay in it besides pushing a rock and ending being frustrated? It will be a game for streamers, but there's no gameplay in it. What about the myth of Persephone and Hades? There's no gameplay in it, just a story. What about Orpheus? Difficult. Because Orpheus is mostly... Oedipus is just answering an answer from the Sphinx. Difficult to gamify it. The 12 label of Heracles now. Now we are talking. 12 labels feels like 12 levels. He's fighting stuff. Okay. Inhuman strength. Okay. Orpheus rescuing his wife from hell. Good. Very good. Good example. Pick something where you can have a bit of conflict and a bit of fighting and a bit of gameplay. That's very important. Robin Hood. perfect. Platforming, infiltration, stealth, bit of fighting. Very good. You isolate only a small part, and you're not a writer. It's just an excuse to design cool stuff. Or do you think this applies to the form of entertainment like animation? Maybe not gamifiable, but you still want interaction and a bit of conflict amongst the characters, so it drives action, and you're going to draw some scenes. You do an environment portfolio for animation, you're going to draw some scenes. So pick a few places that are emblematic. Let's say, I don't know. Let's say you pick, let's not pick Robin Hood. Let's pick random story. Let's pick Odysseus, for example. You will not be able to design the whole story. It's hundreds of pages for Odysseus' story. It took him like 20 or 30 years to come back home. So good fucking luck drawing all of that. But you can show maybe the boat, the crewmates, maybe one of his adventures. Let's say he's arriving on Circe's island with everyone being turned into pigs. That's the kind of stuff that you could draw with the Circe's temple, etc. The props, the equipment, the characters, etc. And you're good. If sci-fi is a no-go because it's too hard, is there room to create something? Sci-fi is difficult for juniors, sorry. It's also difficult for seniors. Feng talks about that very well in the 112 video. Pick modern stuff like Apex Legend. I think Apex is a good sweet spot for a junior who wants to aim later at sci-fi, but does not do hard sci-fi. Unless you are a giga nerd about that and you do CAD and hard surface work super well already, it's difficult. Feng talks about that better than me. What advice would you give for someone who doesn't have a real goal studio? I mean, I do, and it's from software, but I know very little Japanese at the moment. Try to expand that on other studios. Baldur's Gate is not that far away. You have a lot of dark fantasy stuff. Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, not that far away. Assassin's Creed, you still have a bit of historical fantasy. The Witcher, doable. You can expand, you know. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. Do not do just dark stuff. That's a policy we have at the Artnest now. Every time someone wants to do dark stuff, we're like, nope. Colorful, contrasted, with a bit of dark if you want. But only dark? No. You look at Elden Ring. Elden Ring is beautiful. It's bright. It's taken over by nature. And then you have some horrific shit in it. It's a beautiful canvas. So contrast, it's important. Is realism art style necessary? Fuck no. Is art style a good point to start? No. Start with subject. Until what point a concept project must go deep into technical expectation of props environment, and when a project can become too nerdy niche for a recruiter? Just ask yourself, okay, that character or that environment, what is everything that the 3D team needs to know to do their job easily? Then you're going to remove the outliers that are at the bottom, like the planks, the rocks. Nobody gives a shit about that. It's going to be kitbashed. You pick the top 5 or 6 most complex elements on the character or environment, and that's what you detail. You don't have to cover 100% in the portfolio. You want to show you could cover 100%. So go for the hardest stuff. Let me show you examples again. One for environment and one for character. Let's pick Gael. And let's pick Una. So Gael for his environment, I've seen it, I've showed it a billion times. What are the important elements? The pillar, that thing, and I would have argued that pool of holy water, but whatever. And the smithing element. We have the most complex element being detailed right here. Again, with crazy armor. That's things that the 3D artist cannot imagine. those little planks, those little stairs, you don't need to detail them. So go for the highest value stuff. If I was to expand, and it can be infinite, I would say pool of holy water, draconic statue. We have the pillar right there that is a bit redundant. All those shields, that would be great. More weapons and wooden patterns right there, and the paintings. That's what I would have done if I was mega super exhaustive, but it's already exhaustive enough. When this is designed, they know Gael could do more, I think. So it's about proving you can do rather than doing it. And Un, you see, he went super exhaustive on this one. Sketches, costume, props, turnaround, spells. And then he did this kind of 80-20 rule. He picked the most important element for each character. And based off his precedent chapter, they know he could expand on each of those characters. You see, there's no back view for them. If he was showing just that, they would be like, yeah, where's the back view? But because he has shown that crazy turnaround, they know he can do it. So it's about ticking the boxes at least once, and then you can move on to the next thing to prove. Rather, it's spells and abilities. And this one, it was to do creatures. Creatures, we have that guy who is bad guy with crazy sketches. So let's design an antagonist. And then VFX abilities again. That's pretty much it. So you don't have to cover 100%, but you have to show you cover the most important things so you could cover everything they want. Let's do a little game to notice how potentially trendy a project could be or not. So let's do a little graph. Okay. Boom. Boom. So this is trust. Okay. This is trust. And this is time. So trust is at 0, which means the game is hated by the public. Trust is at 50, which means the game is mid. Trust is at 100, which means the game is a hit and beloved by players. Okay? Let's do a little game. It's going to be random numbers and random value, but you're going to pick it up. So I'm asking you in the chat to try to find the company it is based off the graph. Sounds like a deal? Let's go. Let me just merge those, whatever. Okay. So this, 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 and this. While you are finding what it could be, there are two ways to make the curve, you know, that will join all those things. One could see it like that. Okay. What I would prefer is try to average out the trend. Okay. Try to make an average like this, you know, because this is like the global tendency. It could be Rockstar, but look at the numbers, 50 and 100 and some above 100. What studio could that be? Don't be shy. I'm not saying it's the only studio, but that's an example I have in mind right now. Team Cherry, they only have 2 games, unfortunately. So it's not enough. Every little cross is a different release. Nobody? Riot? No. Blizzard? Lion? No. Okay. Demon Soul? Dark Souls? Dark Souls 2? Bloodborne? Dark Souls 3. Elden Ring. Elden Ring Night Rain. So the tendency from software is that they are most likely doing good games, and the next game they announce, I would be willing to pre-order that, you know? You see what I mean? It's the tendency. It's like, how likely would you be to trust the studio on their next release? It's also a good indicator on how good they are doing. Okay, let's do another one. Let's pick... okay. This. 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 CD Projekt, exactly. The Witcher. The Witcher 2. The Witcher 3. Cyberpunk at release. Phantom Liberty. Here we go. What's the tendency? Globally okay. Okay, next. I'm not going to be able to cover everything that they do. But basically, okay, let me give it a shot. It's just going to be on one franchise, okay? This. 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 No, come on. This. This. I might have forgotten a few. Something like this. Yeah, Assassin's Creed franchise. I'm sorry, there are so many of them. I'm probably missing a few, but like Assassin's Creed 1, AC2, mega big hit, beloved by the fans. AC3, not the best one. Black Flag, beloved. Unity, Syndicate. I love Unity personally. I love it so much, but that's probably because it's French. Despite being optimized like shit. Then there is Origins. After Origins, it's Odyssey, Valhalla. This can be already a bit decline. I think Valhalla is a bit declining already. And most recently, Shadows. And then the PR treatment they got with Shadows. I'm not even talking about Skull and Bones. Like Skull and Bones is like there, right there, 6 feet under. So what's the tendency right here? Not so good. Will Assassin's Creed die? Probably not. Will it be reformed once Ubisoft is bought by the Chinese? Probably. So it's just to understand the tendency right there. Next one. Let's pick another one. Okay. This. Boom. This. What is that? Do GTA? I'm sorry, I've never played a Rockstar game in my fucking life. I'm sorry. I'm not attracted to Rockstar at all. It could be GTA. Yeah, I think it could be GTA. Monster Hunter, I don't know. The Elder Scrolls, could be. I mean, Oblivion was great already, come on. But yeah, Skyrim Game of the Decade for sure. Yeah, Larian, exactly. All the old school RPG that almost tanked the product and suddenly BG free. And they have one of the most unconditional love and support from their community now. Okay, another one. This. Let me expand the canvas a bit. This. Sinful, exactly. Could be Team Cherry also. Could be Team Cherry. Here we go. So that's how you can have a gut feeling. I'm not saying this is science. This is not. This is just speculation. But this is just to know if the studio is viable or not. Let's pick another one. Okay, give me a second. So this. Oh my god, there's so many. This. 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 And then I'm going to change because it's extension above on the same game. This. 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 I need to extend the canvas. And then this, and then this, then this, and then this is Bungie right now. OG Marathon, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, Destiny, Destiny 2, first expansion, Curse of Osiris, Forsaken, my beloved. The Shadowkeep. Then after Shadowkeep, it was I forgot Beyond Light. Beyond Light was good. Witch Queen, etc. But overall, Bungie is in deep trouble right now. But Destiny, it's been going from the best and going the drain. This I got considered a failure, and okay, come on, man. Bro. Does that look like a success? Oh yeah, Destiny was considered to be the gold standard of game as a service, of course. The girl does not even consider, like, is Concord a success? Like, come on. So yeah, that's basically the tendency. I know it was a bit of a weird presentation today, but I think it's useful. I hope it was. Do you have any question, folks? I still have like 5 minutes available and I will have to go. Just let me know. Any question? In the meantime, while you write your question, just a quick reminder, quick advertising right now. There are a few slots left for the mentorship of March. It's going to be a very small class on purpose because we are focusing on the agency at the moment. And it's the last day for the preparatory module. So, yep, if you want to get it, that's the last day. Let me send you the link. Oop. The link in the stream. Oop. Yes, I found the channel and I'm interested in joining. Would it be possible to extend the deadline by a few days? If not, do you offer any installment option? DM me, and I will let Christina deal with you about that. Would you spend years making a game and you see those characters and don't think they are bad? The devs know they are bad. It's just that it has been validated by people above them. They know about that. And if they don't know, that's a problem. That's a massive problem if they don't know. But I'm pretty sure they know. Having discussed with people who were at Ubisoft before the release of Assassin's Creed Shadow, they knew it was not great. Yeah, no problem. It's in Andrea, the replay is available. Don't worry. It's there to stay. What kind of portfolio if one outsourcing, aiming at outsourcing studio? Pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. You look at what they do across the board, you make an average. If they do both sci-fi and fantasy, it's unlikely you do both. So pick one of them and try to match it with other studios doing similar stuff and make the average of that. So I answered the question to Peanut. Yeah, DM me for if you need a few more days. Concord has some great environment. The concept art for Concord is insane. Same with the concept art for Highguard. The concept art is amazing. Absolutely amazing concept art. Especially for environment, weapons and such. Characters for Concord, debatable. Not sure designing a walking trash bin was the best idea, you know? Or people wearing trash dealing clothes. You know, it was not the best design for characters. But the environment was insane. Art surface was insane. Oh, the Discord link is invalid in the description. Oh, let me put one in the chat in that case. And I will edit the one in the description. Oops. So people will get more brave. I mean, if they don't understand the pattern, again, it's about pattern recognition, it's pretty obvious what works and what didn't right now, especially what doesn't work. In that case, that studio will have no choice but to disappear. And layoffs are bad, but releasing shitty games and wasting people's time and money is also equally bad, you know? So, yeah. I'm making that video to get you to understand which studios get it and which don't. Overall, it's important. It's really important that you today, in my opinion, we are in a schism where old studios are crumbling because they are too slow to change trajectory, or they don't want to. They cling to what was working before. Again, questioning common knowledge, common wisdom, and yeah. Let me answer your question, Andrea, just after. Let me answer your question just after. I think it's a good transition to your question. So yeah, old studios that are too slow and too lazy to change trajectory, I think maybe not they're gonna die, but they're going to suffer. And yeah, it takes time to make a game, don't get me wrong. Well, when you are a small studio, you are more nimble, it's easier to change direction. You look at Valve and Deadlock, they changed their direction in like 2 years, which is massive. It's a massive achievement to change an entire art direction in such a short amount of time. One of my rule is no furry. Serious? Yeah, I don't want furry on the server. We're talking about concept art, not furry. Or not safe for work. I don't care about that. I don't want to see that on the server. So, Andrea, do you think there will be other studios that do similar quality games to Expedition 33 and increase the overall quality of games, so that is more like a one-time event? No, I think it's going to happen more and more. I think we're going to see. I think the new AAA games are going to be made by middle-sized studio with middle-sized budgets, but very, very, very smart, with a very, very strong vision. And I think the big AAA studio with thousands of people are most likely not to disappear, but to be relegated to do the industrial crap. That's my thesis. There will be industrial crap, probably AI field, and there will be a public for that. And if you want the artisans, it's going to be smaller size studios overall. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. I think there's going to be more Sandfall interactive studios. That's my thesis. When you look at Baldur's Gate, when you look at Larian, when you look at Sandfall, when you look at the guys who made Ark Raiders or Helldivers or Space Marine 2, those are middle-sized studio beating AAA or quadruple A studio at their own game. And honestly, more power to those smaller studios. I want more to appear. Because they have a vision, they take risk, and they are not trying to appease investors. And my thesis since I started working in the industry back in 2016 has always been publicly traded studios and good games do not make a good mix. The only exception is CDPR. It's probably the only exception. But most of the flop come from publicly traded studios. Yes, and with Ori or North for the Wicked, fantastic game. You talk about 2XKO? No, I think 2XKO is dead on arrival. I'm sorry. There's not enough demand for fighting game. It's too much of a niche. And 2XKO is looking bad. Very bad. I'm more excited about the MMO of Riot than 2XKO. I think 2XKO is it's coming 10 years too late. Tips on trying to communicate your fresh new game idea with only secondary characters. So we are not stepping. Do one protagonist material and the rest is secondary character. And you are not there to pitch an idea. You can have secondary characters, but still pitch a good game. Like only this pitches the game. This is fine. Look at Chloe. This is not a main character material right here. Still, he pitches the game. So that's fine. We need more Ori. Yeah, Ori is great. It took me 17 seconds before crying on when launching the second one. 17 fucking seconds. And again, as a junior, you are not going to design the main character. You're going to design the NPCs, secondary characters, etc. So that's fine. But there, we're undersized for an RPG like The Witcher. That's okay. That's okay. Like designing NPC enemies more than protagonist character. Good. Very good. Is cosmetic design proto in Marvel Rival like Portfolio safe right now? Yeah, but not only that, as I was saying. Not only that, but there's a huge demand for cosmetics if you aim at hero-based games. Skins, cosmetics, emotes, the little trinkets at the side of your weapon, tags, weapon skins, weapon sets, character skin sets, like the Halloween skins for all the Overwatch character, the Star Guardian in League of Legends, things like that. You can design sets, not just isolated character, but a set that is coherent. This is even more valuable. Little creatures, little skins of the pets, familiars, mounts, things like that. A lot of value in it. 2XKO did really good? No. Cutting half of the 2XKO team less than 30 days from release. Do you think it's a good news? Do you think 314 viewers on Twitch is a good thing? Compared to leagues, 100K, Arc Raiders, 34K. Even Elden Ring, Deadlock, Marvel Rivals. I need to play the new sticks. It looks very good. What do you think of Warframe and Digital Extreme as a studio? They seem to be doing great, and they seem to be doing what Destiny does not do anymore. I did not mention them in any stream because I did not play Warframe. But it looks like they are doing what Destiny is not doing, and a few of the YouTubers, the Destiny content creator that I was following in the past, seems to be very positive about it. And I think I trust their judgment. For am I also a big Destiny veteran? So I think if they like it, I would like it too. I just don't have the time to play it, unfortunately. What's your find studios to aim for? I mean, studios that are more AA or even indie. My question is, why aiming at indie? Because most likely the slots available in indie will be very low. I understand the attraction for the style, but indie is a very rough market. So yeah, finding them is difficult because for like one indie that is successful, like Team Cherry, there's like thousands of indies that die without even knowing who they are. So careful about indies. I'm not saying it's bad. Some of them, they are gems in the rough, paying very well. But be careful, and you have to be more generalist. Generally, the smaller the studio, the more generalist you have to be generally. And AA studio, that's fine. Try a game dev map. That website is not that bad. There's good, there's bad, there's a bit of everything. You can find a lot of stuff right there. There's like a... Recently, we made that thing with some people. And we are making a list of a fuck ton of studios across the world. Hundreds of them. We're at 670. We're finding the link to all of them, categorizing them. And all the ones in yes, we have we have 2 interns at the moment contacting them for the agency. Being like, hey guys, we have a pool of talents that are qualified. If you need some people, just contact us. We're going to place them for free at your studio. We are not trying to sell you anything. We just want to get you to have the right talent. That's what we are developing at the moment. And it's going very well. The interns are doing a phenomenal job. So, speaking of incoming trade, I like Greek antiquity, but I assume it's one of these genres that is becoming a bit mainstream right now. Generic Greek stuff, yes. I was showing the work of Evan the other day. Evan Mackenzie. Because it's based on ancient Rome or ancient Greece. Yeah, ancient Rome. Close enough. Bear with me. But it's heavily redesigned. So please, you look at ancient Greece architecture. Everything that you see here, this is what you should not do. Because this is the Googleable easy stuff, and this is beautiful, but it was painted in the time. It was more complex than that. You see, it was beautiful like that. It was way more complex. So look at the niche stuff, look at books, look at, I like old books generally. When it comes to those things, or Orientalism painting, old classicism movement painters and things like that for Greece. Cool work. I heard this actually because of the marketing, they didn't put effort into that. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's Riot. Riot should be its own marketing already. I think the genre of fighting games is difficult. Like, let's get back to Twitch. Street Fighter. How many people are watching Street? 5.3K. That's okay. That's probably the only fighting game that is viable at the moment. And good luck defrauding Street Fighter. I think you missed my question. What's the market for stylized character right now? I feel like on LinkedIn, lots of people look for it, including Samuel Amor. Stylized character is very saturated at the moment if you do the main character material. That's why I'm advising the students to do skins and costume. And we're also slightly not gatekeeping stylized character designer away from the mentorship, but we are starting to reduce the influx because we got a lot of them across the last month and we want to keep things balanced. And yeah, I would advise 2 things for stylized characters. First of all, stop aiming simply at Riot or Blizzard. There's so much more than those styles. There's the Crash Bandicoot, Ratchet and Clank type of style, the Spyro style. There's so much more. Sea of Thieves, Airborne, Moon Studio. There's so much more than just Riot. And I think the problem is that everyone and their mom aims at Riot. And they just have an abundance of jobs. And you see at the moment that they are more on the layoff side than the hiring side. Yeah, it's saturated, but you have to see the pattern. And the pattern is everyone and their mom is doing Riot. Valorant, Riot, leagues, things like that. And if you are an outlier, if you are extremely good, sure, you're going to find job. We got Noel, who got job even before joining the mentorship. At a studio similar to Riot, and even Riot told her, if I recall correctly, hey, come back in 2 years. We're going to remember about you. So yeah, it's about what do you mean by stylized? And yeah, if you aim at the Arcane, League of Legends, or Valorant style, yes, good luck. Good luck. But there's so much more to that. I want to see more stylized stuff like Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, Crash Bandicoot, things like this. In a saturated place, you can always find like a little place of respite overall, and that's my suggestion. This and skins. Next question. And in addition to the work, there's also the way people apply that can be questioned. But as I don't know the people, I cannot expand too much on that. The stylized character is difficult at the moment. Lot of Endo, an interesting deep story. Yeah, I can assume. What about using Central and Eastern European culture as references? For example, Hungarian. Yeah, good. Just do not pick Polish because The Witcher. Eastern European, like Hungarian, Croatian, Serbia, and even if you go a bit above, like Belarus, Russian stuff, yes, there's a lot of wonderful stuff. What we will say is the main character material. The character you will play, that is the main character overall. The Lancelot character for Chloe could be the main character, but it doesn't have this kind of over-the-top, super complex, heroic look. It feels a bit like a normal guy. What are you doing, buddy? My cat is playing with something. So yeah, it's a fine line to walk. Chloe and Un, it's a very fine line to walk. Let's pick Michael also. And Michael did not tell us that he got a job. Come on, buddy. That's amazing. So this is protagonist material. This is protagonist material. And this could be protagonist material, but to me, it misses the super flamboyant armor and gear. It's a bit grounded. But that's fine. That works, you know. That works for something like The Witcher. That's okay. I will play with a character like that. I'm okay. Maybe it's one of those RPG where you can customize your character. That's okay. But you see that there's a difference right there. And this one feels like a leader. Those ones, they feel like followers. They could be playable characters, don't get me wrong, but they feel like followers. It's a bit difficult to tell. It's a very fine line, and more we are blending main protagonist and secondary character in one big chapter. That's what we are doing more and more with the mentees now. It saves them a bit of time also, so that's okay. It's a very fine line to walk, and it's difficult to pinpoint. It also depends on the context and the story, you know, like right there, the story of Lancelot, main character, okay, it's the protagonist. If it was about the Knights of the Round Table, it would be one of many characters. Like right there, Moby Dick, the Captain Ahab, is the main character, no question. St. George, this is St. George. So a bit difficult to tell. When building story and character, what things has helped you or the teacher and student at the Art Nest? What helps us is to not build stories, actually, and to have a very simple inventory regarding character, like one archetype, one cultural references, one strong gameplay proposal, one signature element, and that's pretty much it. We summarize characters like that. Start focusing on the story. Nobody cares about the story. People care about the gameplay. You look at the characters of Deadlock. You look at Overwatch. Sure, there is ton of lore and things like that, but nobody cares about their lore. Besides a few nerds, or when there is an animated movie, everyone plays those characters because they resonate with them. Like, who gives a shit about the story of Kiriko? She's the most played character. One of the most played characters. Who gives a shit? People play them because they are charismatic, you know? When you see them, you see that character. If it was in, I wish it was in full screen. I think the website is not the best right now. I would like to see the full character from like a character selection screen, because right now it doesn't. It just tells me the personality, but not the gameplay. So yeah, right there I have the cowboy fantasy. You know, the outlaw cowboy fantasy. This is what sells me the character. I might find the character nice visually speaking. That's the first layer, but then the gameplay, you know. That's how I pick characters. Like right now on Deadlock, just to give you an idea, I'm maining a support. At first, I started playing Graves because I really liked the appearance of the character. I did not like the gameplay at all. I understand the potential, but it's not a potential gameplay that I like. And I fell in love with Rem. He's so fucking cute. He's like a little baby griffin. He reminds me of my cat. Where is he? He's probably sleeping on the bed. He reminds me so much of my cat. So I started playing him. I like the gameplay a lot. And then I discovered Paige. And the character design, not the biggest fan. A big Harry Potter fan. The skins are going to be fantastic, I think. But the character design is whatever. But the gameplay, with summoning the dragon, trapping people, and being an absolute nightmare to play against, I love it. And Rem, I love the character design. He's so cute. It's so original to have that little guy with a bedrobe and a bed hat and little plushies and a pillow. But the gameplay is so fun with the pillow toss. When you throw your pillow, it's like you send a fucking nuke to the map. It's so fun. And gameplay. Just the gameplay. And you fall in love with the appearance of the character first. You stay for the gameplay. That's why I think Concord failed. Because the gameplay of Concord was not that bad. But you press play on a character because you like them. Because you fall in love with a character. And whether we want it or not, we always judge character on the first impression. And I think the design of Deadlock are very good because there's such a strong vibe and personality to each of them. Like Drifter, the personality is insane. Graves, I mean, very Addams Family, Wednesday type of character. People resonate with that. Mina, I think she's the most picked character because, I mean, Golf Girlfriend. So that's why. Apollo, very close to Will in Baldur's Gate, but super cool to play. And it sells the fantasy. It really sells the fantasy immediately. You know that this character is a backline character. You know that this character is going to be a little pest, you know? So yeah, you come for the appearance, you stay for the gameplay. Ideally, in a concept design, you want to have both. I will stop and answer. I will finish the question that are currently there, and then I will go. What about using Central and Eastern European? I talked about that. What would you say is main character? I talked about that. Do you think there's a place for more old school fantasy? Please, yes. 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 Old school fantasy. Please. I fucking hate Game of Thrones. I hate Game of Thrones because it's so grounded and boring. And the story is so fucking boring and outrageous. And like, how dare people compare that to Lord of the Rings? The audacity, the absolute audacity to compare that to Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, there's not a single swear word. There's not a single boob or sex scene. It's more interesting. Every single second of the Lord of the Rings is more interesting than the whole Game of Thrones series. I don't like Game of Thrones. I'm not the target audience for it. It feels like a history book from someone who never opened an history book. And having to put a winner every 15 minutes. And at some point, it's so formulaic that you know when it's going to cut and you're going to have a zoom on a dick, on a sex scene. It's so fucking outrageous. I hate that shit. It's just to rehook the people because the thing is boring. It's like the young and the restless, but middle age. And I was so bored when it was released in 2012. Like, oh my god, I don't like fantasy, but I like Game of Thrones. That's because it's not fantasy. It's fucking boring. It's bad designs, in my opinion. I like that old school fantasy because it's very chivalric, it's very elegant, and it's you have that rule of decency on those elegant vocabulary, elegant visuals, flamboyant people. Even bad guys are flamboyant. Game of Thrones, it's like the collapse of all of that and everyone is a fucking asshole. Not my jam. I get that some people like it, but it's not for me. So yeah, classic fantasy, please. Yes. Stuff like maybe Lord of the Rings or Warhammer Fantasy. Yes. Or especially old school Warhammer. Modern Warhammer, it's a bit too grimdark. Old school Warhammer, like Warhammer Battle from 2006, fuck yes. Fuck yes. Is Overwatch Street Fighter a potential art direction for a portfolio? Potentially. Very modern. Potentially. Would Aztec be a good subject to explore if you have enough references for it, which is very hard to find when you are not in Latin America? Yes. What do you think of Amazon games? I know that they are in trouble and that they shut down most of their games. So no opinion besides that. I have not played their games, unfortunately. I'm not playing that many games anymore now. I'm looking at a lot of them, looking at review, looking at the state of the market, but I'm sticking to either old games at the moment or reliables or a good multiplayer game with my friends. At the moment, it's Deadlock. I love to play Deadlock with friends. It's fun. I'm bad at the game. I would remain bad at the game, but it's fun. It's fun. And the old classic like Elden Ring, a bit of Night Rain, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, Skyrim, Heroes of Might and Magic 3, tons of platformers. I'm redoing all the old school platformers from PS1 and Nintendo 64 at the moment. Horde du Contrevent, I know that name, I have never read it. Here we go, Western with twist. Wine. Western, like cowboys, careful because there's not that much demand for it. It's very grounded, but it's doable. You look at Lucas Santiago. He did some. It were great. Things like that. That's great for a hero-based game. Something else you need to design for hero-based game: abilities, please. Spells, abilities, ultimate, things like that. Just an example right there. All right. I have to go, folks. I have not eaten lunch yet. It's almost 5. I'm starving. Monster-driven Western setting, like Monster Hunter mixed Western. Sure. Could work. And this is a good way to tie it to like Monster Hunter or The Witcher and things like that. That could work. Hope you liked it, folks. As always, let me put the link of the Discord in the chat and do one last little advertising for the preparatory module. It's the last day. The sales, at least in public, ends at midnight tonight CET time. For the person who cannot get it and wants to get it, just DM me, and I will get you in touch with Christina. She will deal with you about that. That's it. Contest starting on the 23rd. Feedback session. Lot of things. You've seen the level up. I've been spamming you a bit about that, so you know the drill. And if you're mentorship ready, you want to join. There's a few slots left for March. Next class is going to be mid-April. And both are likely to be small classes because I'm focused so hard on the agency at the moment. And I know the agency is going to absolutely catapult the mentorship once we get it work. So it should work by a month or so. It's going to really skyrocket the demand. What time will be the live session of the various weeks? It's most likely going to be, it's not defined yet, but around 6 or 8 p.m. CET, and it's going to be recorded in any case. So even if you cannot join because of time zone or work or something like that, you will be able to submit your work. You will get feedback, and you can watch the recording. If we go well in the challenge, if not at number 1, would you be better prepared for the mentorship? Yes, because on Bonsai, it's called the Production Designer Playbook. On the old platform, which is still active, it's the one we give to the mentees now. We want to separate things. Let me show you. I saw a comment like, oh, he abandoned the people of the previous platform. No, it's still working. What are you talking about? Here we go. It's there. It's what we used to call the preparatory module. And if you look at how it works in the mentorship, anyone who joins the mentorship, they get it before we start, so they can get ready because it covers all the artistic part. So it's actually to get you ready, either to level up or either get you ready for the mentorship if you want it. And that's why we are giving a discount. The price of the preparatory module, if you buy it, we deduce it from the price of the mentorship because there's no need to invoice you twice for something you already get. So whether you want to level up or join the mentorship, it's made for that. I hope it helps. Yeah, the comments were wild, whatever. You can just right click and mask them and whatever. I don't give a shit. It's like one of the comments was like 3 different statements that were all erroneous. It's like, okay, nice try. I saw the account. Whatever, whatever. I don't care. It's fine. And regarding the cost of the mentorship, I know it's a budget, but people are willing to spend $60K a year in Chilea's art school. So in the grand scheme of things, it's an investment, but compared to Chilea's art school, it's still affordable. And we have to get it running. Like, I'm not opening too much about how it works in the Artnest publicly because we attracted a bunch of concurrent and people trying to steal our content. And recently, for example, there was a mentee who was like, hey, I want to join. I'm ready to pay the 35K of that piece of shit. And I was like, wait. Oh no, you stumbled upon that bootleg copycat website that jumped on our SEO. Those guys, we checked the SEO, they are not getting any traffic. And all lawyers are currently nuking them. Soon that website is going to disappear. In a few months, that website is going to disappear because all lawyers are nuking them at the moment. And they have been surfing on our stuff. So I don't open publicly too much about how it works business-wise because it could give ideas to people. So yeah, but yeah, we have to cover our costs. And it's expensive to run the Artnest. It's very expensive. It's 5 figures a month, to pay everyone, to pay the service, etc. What if due to the currency conversion, the entire cost of the mentorship is just too high? I don't know what to say. The preparatory module is made to be affordable. We're going to have a little boot camp that is going to be also affordable. It's like the preparatory module and extensive feedback as if it was in the mentorship, but for technique and level up, it's meant to be affordable. But we have to make sure it's sustainable. And given the amount of feedback we give, given the amount of staff we have, we have to protect the bank account, So I don't really know what to say. The price is not going to skyrocket to like 10K a slot. I don't think it's going to happen, or at least not anytime soon. But yeah, I know that financially it's a budget, but there's no choice, unfortunately. We have a lot of copycats. We got some platforms who try to steal the mentorship by bribing students and things like that. That's why we have some lawyers. Feedback sessions are for anyone who gets the preparatory module, whether you participate in the contest or not. But that contest, besides the price, it's meant to get you to consume the content of the course and to apply the exercise. So even if you don't take the context seriously, we're going to give feedback on the pieces of the contest subject overall. Whatever for those comments, you know, that's okay. You cannot create unanimity. What are the green flags for somebody who jump into a junior level? Exactly what I talked about in the previous presentation, which is also going to vanish in a few hours. I'm going to let it until tomorrow. But if you have not watched it, the green flags of juniors is what I talked extensively in the previous presentation called Succeeding in the Post-Junior Market. All right, I have to go, folks. I'm almost 1 hour beyond what I was expecting to do. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.